Now that our Packers have made all of their player selections from the NFL draft, a few more facets of the new look 2023 Green Bay Packers are being put in place. Let's talk about it with you all next on this edition of your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hello there. I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast. It may seem way too early to be talking about football, seeing how summer is only around the corner, but this was a very important weekend for the Packers with the NFL draft taking place in Nashville. I'm so happy to be back for this off-season episode of the Packers Fan Podcast. It's simply been way too long since I got to sit down and chat with my partner in crime. How you doing, Wayne?
I'm doing quite well, Scott. Podcasting since 2005, I'm Wayne Henderson, and the excitement for the upcoming Packers season is real, and I am ready for it. So, this is episode 273 of the Packers Fan Podcast. You know, it's the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion, Green Bay Packers. And this time around, of course, we're going to be talking about how the Packers have selected some great young talent in this year's NFL draft.
And we'll share your listener thoughts all about what the Packers front office achieved throughout the draft. Obviously, the NFL draft wasn't the only big Packers-related news that dropped this week. It's now officially official that Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet, and he posted a very nice goodbye to the team and fans on Instagram. Also, longtime friend of the show, Jay Walter, sent us a brief interview with a Jets fan to get their perspective on landing the legendary Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, landing like a jet. I see what you did there, Scott. Well done. You know, just like that, Jordan Love is now the leader of the Packers. In fact, Jordan just restructured his contract with the Packers and got a contract extension. So, if you're ready to purchase a Jordan Love jersey like Dictus in the Netherlands already has, they've got them available at Fanatics, and we have an affiliate link, which will earn us a small commission if you purchase with the link. Of course, you can buy all sorts of other Packers jerseys and gear at Fanatics as well. And the details on how you can, quote unquote, share the love and help out the podcast are at packersfanpodcast.com/love.
I love it. Now, let's go ahead and get on to Green Bay's 2023 draft selections. You've probably already seen the names. You've probably been hearing about them all week if you watch anything on ESPN or follow Packers anything. But we're going to kind of go through them one by one, starting with our first round pick at number 13. We selected Lucas Van Ness, who's a defensive end / edge from Iowa. Got some inside information from my good buddy Matt, who usually clues me in on these episodes because I'm kind of clueless when it comes to college football, but he gave me some inside information about Van Ness. He said that he was one of the best on one of the best defenses in the country and was a prominent player there. It sounds like he's a little raw, so there's a higher ceiling with him as he gets more games under his belt. But with that said, he is 6'5", weighs 272 pounds. His arm circumference is 34 inches, so he's a big fella. His teammates nicknamed him Hercules, and some people are comparing him to a healthy Rashawn Gary and even TJ and JJ Watt. Lucas is also a pretty darn good hockey player. Matt said that he's definitely a Midwest product by those standards. So this is a tough dude, and I like this pick. How do you feel?
I'm very happy with the pick. I think this is going to work out very, very well. And yeah, he sounds like a big dude, so he should be able to take care of business, especially with a little more coaching. And I understand so many Packers fans were hoping we'd select a wide receiver or a tight end with that number 1 pick. But watching so many fans, especially on night one, throwing in the towel on the season because we didn't pick a receiver just kind of cracks me up. Remember that the Matt LaFleur Packers are designed to be a lot more of a run team than what we've had since something like the 70s. What if Lucas turns out to be one of the great edge rushers of this decade? How excited will Packers fans be if we can actually cause a lot of 3 and outs? Because, as you like to say, Scott, defense wins championships.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. When it comes to a certain subset of fans, no matter what happens in the draft, they're going to be upset. We could have drafted a wide receiver in the first round, and somebody would have been like, well, why didn't they pick up Van Ness? That would have been a smarter pick. Everybody thinks that they are smarter than the office, and it drives me crazy. Just be satisfied. Just be satisfied. But you made a really good point. This is not a Mike Holmgren Packers team. You know what I mean? This is a LaFleur team. They're focusing completely different. We're not necessarily going to be centering this team around Jordan Love even. Granted, he's going to be touching the ball every play, right? But there's going to be a lot more going on than passing. We've seen these last 3 years that there's a lot more to the game of football than slinging it downfield like we've been doing for the past 30 years, and I think this is a good start.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to day 2 for one of our round 2 picks, we dropped down a few slots due to trades with the Lions and the Buccaneers. So round 2, pick number 42 is Luke Musgrave, tight end from Oregon State. Tell us about him, Wayne.
Well, the second Luke to be chosen in a row. The Packers had a theme going there for a brief period of time.
They're Star Wars fans.
This is the way. May the 4th be with you. In just a couple days, Luke Musgrave, tight end. He is 6'6" and 253 pounds, so he's not exactly a wallflower. Last year at Oregon, he got the Mackey Award watch list for the top tight end. He opened the season with 6 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown against Boise State, so he's off to a good start. I expect big things. What else do you know about this guy?
Well, again, just doing some research on this. The thing about tight ends is that most of them don't really hit their stride until about year 2 or 3. So I don't expect a ton of explosiveness from this guy. But the Packers are going to need him to advance very quickly with this demanding position. Seeing how DeGuara is going to be the most seasoned tight end on the field starting this year. And, we know the name. We've seen him pull some great plays, but, he was no Tunyon. He was no, dare I say, Finley. He had a short run there for a while. On the bright side, this could be a very tight building relationship between him and Love starting the season, seeing how they're both kind of starting together. But who knows? Green Bay's salary cap is very tight, so getting a more experienced tight end would have been very, very difficult, but would have more than likely been a better call. I know that there's been some rumblings about the possibility of Mercedes Lewis coming back. With this and a later pick down the line here that we'll get to shortly, feels like that's kind of maybe a pipe dream, but I don't know. I'm pretty excited with this. The size of the guy alone is impressive.
Yeah, get out of his way. He wants to catch the ball. And yeah, I think so far so good with the Green Bay Packers draft selections.
I mean, Wayne, you're never going to say it. That was a horrible pick. That's just not in your nature, man.
It could happen.
Oh, is that a preview for what's to come? Oh, I can't wait now. Want to hear Wayne not being optimistic? Going on to our round 2 pick, number 50, Jaden Reed. Finally, a wide receiver. Everybody can settle down a little bit. This guy comes from Michigan State. He's 6 foot 0 inches at 185 pounds. He caught 203 passes for 2,866 yards and 26 touchdowns and returned 3 punts for touchdowns over 4 seasons at Michigan State. He was a 2-time All Big Ten pick. And the thing about this guy is that he's very strong after the catch. So he gets those yards to keep things moving. He's a versatile receiver. He's able to line up on the outside or in the slot very effectively. And he's also got some solid separation on those routes. And he appears to be very good at winning contested catches, which also makes him a dual threat there. He could be a serious weapon for Love, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Do you have any thoughts on him?
I just noticed that he seems extremely fast. And I know we've already got Christian Watson, who's extremely fast. So if both of these guys can be out there at the same time, depending on the lineup, and they're both so fast, I expect big things, explosive plays, and of course, touchdowns. That would be very nice indeed. So that's going to be exciting. And since we don't really have that many other receivers besides Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson and these rookies, I think they're going to get some playing time. We almost have no choice.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we're going to see these guys' names a lot more than your typical rookie in the next season.
Yeah, and then we're on to round 3 with pick number 78, Tucker Kraft. Hey, a tight end, another tight end. This one from South Dakota State. So 2 tight ends on night 2 of the draft. Are we going after the magic of the Mark Chmura and Keith Jackson years?
Man, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Could be. This guy is 6'5". He weighs 255 pounds. He finished second on the team with 65 receptions and 780 receiving yards, and he caught at least 2 passes in all 15 of his games. So he's definitely got some experience there. So we talked about Musgrave earlier. That guy is going to be the speed tight end, but Kraft is kind of like the yin to his yang in that he's the yak guy, the yards after catch. This is something sorely lacking last season for sure with the Packers. So he's a very welcome addition for sure. But I will say the Packers are kind of cursed when it comes to drafting 3rd round tight ends. Let me give you some of the names here. Sternberger, DeGuara, he's kind of our vet at this point. Burks, Amari Rodgers, and Ryan were all 3rd round draft picks. If you don't recognize a ton of those names, it's because they didn't play very much. The most notable one is probably Amari Rodgers, and we all know what he did with punt returns last season. And there's a reason he's not on the roster anymore. So I think the most positive thing I read about Kraft is a quote that he had when he was asked about how he feels about playing tight end. And he says, and I quote, "The tight end position, I like the duality of the game. I like being able to put your hand in the dirt and ferociously punishing the man across from you," unquote. I just thought that was a really awesome attitude about the position, and I'm excited to see what he does.
That has me amped up. I didn't realize that he had said that. And the fact that we may or may not have some 2 tight end sets, whether or not we do, having this kind of tight end, because, I forget about how exciting it is to have a receiver or tight end that can do the yards after catch. And if he can do that for us, I'm going to be smiling even more.
Absolutely.
And then day 3, I think we had about 850 picks. It was extremely busy for the Packers. In the 4th round, round 4, pick number 116, Colby Wooden, a defensive tackle from Auburn, who's 6'5", 258 pounds. He had 30 tackles for a loss, 15 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles, among other things. So tackles for a loss, I like to see that. Scott, how about you?
Absolutely. I think the notable quote I read about his career in the college ball is he is disruptive everywhere he lined up, which is that. Exactly what I want to hear. Yeah.
Yes, please.
I did read that the Packers will probably have him lined up on the inside, as he's proven to not be quite as effective on the outside. But hey, find your strengths and just play to them. Also, in the last 3 seasons, he played in every single game. So he sounds like a tough player that won't be injury prone. I think that's something that's very notable. He's also one of only 9 players on the team to achieve 30 career tackles for a loss in the past 25 years. That's a pretty impressive stat. So I think this is a solid pick. Moving on, round 5, number 149 was Sean Clifford, quarterback from Penn State. They're looking for a quality backup for Jordan Love. Who knows? He may even end up competing for the starting job next year. I don't know. I just really don't even know what to think about the quarterback position at this point. But this guy is 6'2", 218 pounds. According to ProFootballNetwork.com, during his 5 seasons at Penn State, Clifford completed a combined 817 of 1,335 passes for 61.2%, for 10,382 yards, 84 touchdowns, and 31 interceptions. He became Penn State's all-time career leader in passing yards. But what even was more impressive was his distinction as a 4-time team captain, one of just 2 in school history to earn that honor.
Whoa, those are some stats.
Yeah, for real. Are you like me, though? Are you kind of wondering, wish there was a camera on Jordan Love when this pick was made? Because I just want to see what his reaction was. Because I just have to assume it was better than Rodgers' reaction to Jordan Love getting drafted.
I think so too, especially since we were kind of bouncing around the idea on the previous episode of the show that we thought the Packers might select the backup in the 3rd round, if not maybe the 4th round. So all the way a couple picks into the 5th round before we picked up one. I'm surprised Clifford was still there.
I think it's also notable that Clifford is 4 months older than Love. He's 24 years old. Yeah. He might actually be the most experienced college football quarterback drafted ever.
Whoa.
From what I've been reading. So he's got a solid chance to be number 2 behind Love and ahead of Etling, who has only been on the practice squad as a quarterback and on other teams, as well as on practice squads for wide receivers. So the question is whether or not the Packers want an NFL veteran backing up Love and could try to go that route, or are they going to stick with this guy? But I don't know. When you're looking at rookies, you're looking at a lot of, just not a lot of experience. And granted, this guy doesn't have experience in the NFL, but he's got a lot of experience in college ball. So I think this could be a solid backup for Love.
I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to round 5, pick number 159, Dontavian Wicks, wide receiver from Virginia. This guy is 6'1", 206 pounds. This guy has some great strengths, the biggest being his ability to go up and get the ball. He doesn't do quite as well on straight line routes and has made some occasional drops, so he's going to need to correct that if he wants to get some starts. He also doesn't have a lot of experience in the slot, so it sounds like I'm being overly negative on this guy, but the go up and get the ball aspect of his play, I think is really important and will do well with this squad.
Absolutely. That calls for a go, Pack, go.
Go, Pack, go indeed.
And Dontavian is the 8th Virginia player to be drafted by the Packers in history. And of course, one of the most notable being the Magic Man himself, Don Majkowski, who was drafted from Virginia in 1987. So if that has any bearing, I know that it probably doesn't, but I like it anyway. Finally made it to round 6, pick number 179, Carl Brooks, a defensive end from Bowling Green. You said you wanted more help on defense. Well, here it is. He's 6'4", 300 pounds. Carl Brooks is hoped to provide some depth behind Kenny Clark.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. He is the first team All-Mac selection in 2022, had 18 tackles for loss and 50 overall tackles. And what's really interesting is that he led Bowling Green in sacks for all 5 seasons that he played there. Not only that, he was also the team captain for 2 seasons. Team captain, a defensive player. That means he's got some leadership qualities and could be a huge asset for the defense here. I love it. Yeah,
drafting some of these guys who've had team captain experience is just another bonus because the more leadership potential we can get on this team, the better. Even if they're young, they can still bring potential. And then just a little later in round 6, pick number 207, Anders Carlson, kicker from Auburn. Could this drafting of a kicker officially signal the end of the Mason Crosby's record-setting time with the Green Bay Packers?
I would say no. Look, when they drafted Love, did that mean that they were done with Rodgers? No.
Right. True.
But I think they're laying the groundwork. They know that he's kind of got an expiration date on him, and they don't want to just bring in a fresh rookie. They want to have somebody solid for whenever Crosby is finally done, because somebody's got to go after that coveted most points scored by a Packer stat. He's got to start somewhere.
I can understand that. And that's going to be one of those things that is going to be very hard to beat. And we love Mason. He's such a great guy, so valuable to the team. But I think his time might be done. And if there's a way that we could maybe keep him in the fold in some sort of introductory coaching capacity, I don't know. I think this does signal the end of Mason Crosby's time. I think with a kicker, you don't need to sit behind the other guy for a number of years. I don't know that. It just doesn't seem that way. Anders Carlson, he's 6'5", 215 pounds. That's pretty big for a kicker. He made all 22 of his point after attempts in 2022 and 70.6% of all of his field goals.
There you go. Hey, tall guys as kickers, that means he's got long legs. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
I mean, there's going to be some strength there. It's also his brother, Daniel Carlson, is the kicker for the Las Vegas Raiders. The brothers both went to Auburn and combined for 9 straight years as kickers there. So, yeah, you know, if we ever play the Raiders, that's going to be the story.
We do play the Raiders in Vegas sometime this season, and the schedule comes out May 11th. Be ready.
So you know that's going to be the talk during that game. We're just going to wait for that segment when they're going to have both brothers side by side, split screen, and they're going to talk about it. There's going to be a segment done during halftime or commercial or on the sideline interview or something. It's just inevitable. Also, the Packers did have several selections in the final round number 7. First off, pick number 232, Carrington Valentine, cornerback from Kentucky. Many are surprised the Pack waited until the 7th round to draft a corner. How are you feeling about doing that late in the draft, man?
I didn't really see very many corners when it was our turn to pick that seemed like they would be the one to go with. I just think that's how this particular draft fell out. And possibly, I wonder if we're looking to pick up a veteran corner from maybe Arizona or somebody.
Mm-hmm. Supposedly he's more of a man-to-man cover corner than zone coverage. In fact, Carrington was asked about getting to now play with Jair Alexander and Eric Stokes, and he said, quote, "Real gritty guys, competitive. I just feel like going in there. I'm already one of them because that's how I play. Press man all day," unquote. And it is notable that he is 6 foot, 193 pounds. So, yeah, although we got some young stars in there, and let's keep adding to it. But, yeah. Round number 7, the 235th pick overall, Lou Nichols III, running back from Central Michigan. Wondering if this is insurance if we can't afford to keep A.J. Dillon, or is this just added depth for now? Where you landing there?
Too early to tell. I think he's just going to be added depth. It certainly can't hurt to have somebody else in the fold just in case.
I can't imagine, letting A.J. Dillon
Me
go.
neither. No, please no. He's such a part of the team and a character, and he's all in on the whole Wisconsin lifestyle.
Well, I just love the yin and yang thing going on with the depth right now as it is. You got the two, tight ends we just talked about. One is speed, one is yards after catch. It's the same thing with Dillon. We've got to have that back and forth there, and I just that's the strength that we've been looking at last season. Is our running game has just stepped up so much. I can't let that go. I'm hoping this is depth. The guy's 5'11", 222 pounds. At Central Michigan, he had over 32 career games, rushed for 3,061 yards, 26 touchdowns on 614 carries for an average of 5 yards per carry. Ooh. He caught 71 passes for 575 yards and 3 touchdowns. I am a little worried about injuries. He had a toe injury that forced him to miss multiple games in 2022, and he had a hamstring injury very recently, which, it's not a great way to start when you're just recently drafted, but so hopefully we can keep him healthy as well. But yeah, I'm all for more depth.
And perhaps now that he has those injuries out of the way, he can be healthy from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Then with pick number 242 overall in round 7, Anthony Johnson Jr., a safety from Iowa State. He's 6 foot tall, 205 pounds. And Anthony had 243 tackles, 14 for a loss, 3 sacks. How about this, Scott? 5 forced fumbles.
Love it. Love it.
And second team all Big 12 honors from the league's coaches in 2022. Not too bad at all.
Also the first Iowa State Cyclone to be selected by the Green Bay Packers. That's kind of notable. He actually used to play cornerback, so he's now a safety. But I just thought that was interesting. I find it interesting when a player comes in. I mean, there's some similarities between cornerback and safety, but he also ran the 40-yard dash in 4.54 seconds, and he has a 37.5-inch vertical leap. So just to talk about some of his athleticism there. Excited there. On pick number 256 overall goes to Grant Dubose, wide receiver from Charlotte. He is 6'2", 201 pounds, and he was named second team All-Conference USA as a senior after catching 63 passes for 787 yards and a career-high 9 touchdowns. More depth in the wide receiver front. Hopefully people can, settle down a little bit. We drafted some wide receivers.
Exactly. I know we didn't draft 12 of them, but hey, this is a great start. I am very excited for the season, but also to see how things come together in mini camp and camp. And this year, more than any year since Favre took over, preseason is, I think, something to keep an eye on. But
For
we'll
sure.
get there. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and check in on the listener feedback. Folks that either sent us a message to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com or gave us a call at +1 920 3PACK-GO.
Okay, so guys, this is Garrett calling in to give you my analysis for rounds 1 through 4 real quickly. Again, Lucas Van Ness had a lot of starts in college for 2 years, made a lot of plays. He's still very green, in need of some project improvement on hand placement and stuff, but I think he will prove to be a great pass rusher and very versatile on the line. Second round, Luke Musgrave, a guy who only played 2 games last year, but really did shine when he did start out. I think he's going to be a great downfield stretch, especially down the middle for Love to throw to. With the 4.6 speed, I think he's really going to press defenses. And on the third round, Jaden Reed is one guy I didn't have on my radar that much, but he was very productive for Missouri State. So I'm hoping that he does play effectively in the slot, and I think he will be a starter. Fourth round, Tucker Kraft. This guy I have actually seen play against SIU when he played for South Dakota State. This guy has a lot of ability. He'll probably be the person that replaces Mercedes Lewis on the line as a blocker. He has a lot of potential. This guy could really, really do some damage in the middle of the field. So I'm really looking forward to that. So there's my analysis of that real quick, and go Pack Go.
Thanks so much, Garrett. Appreciate the call, and I promise your fantasy football T-shirt is coming. I have not forgotten. Yeah, he made some good points, especially with Van Ness. I understand, he's very green. I'm hoping that, he's got a lot of room to grow. NFL is definitely a lot different than college football for sure, but hopefully his size will kind of give him a little bit of an edge over other rookies at that position. So only 2 games last year for Musgrave. Yeah, that's a little concerning, but who knows? Who knows? That's cool. You get to see Kraft play. That's got to be kind of a cool thing to be like, I was there, before he was cool kind of thing.
Yes, yes.
He was cool, but I'm getting at there. So yeah, that's one thing that people don't really think as often about a tight end. We kind of just think of them as catchers, you know what I mean, or like receivers, but they're doing a lot on that front line too, for blocking. They're also running the ball. It's a very versatile position, and it sounds like from what Garrett said, this guy has lots of possibilities, especially replacing that spot where Lewis was in the past. So we're looking forward to seeing him on the field.
Oh, absolutely. Bring it on. Now for our next call, we got this special message sent in by longtime listener Jay Walters. I even met him at the Rams-Packers game, I believe was the game. Anyway, we touched on the fact that Aaron Rodgers is officially gone, and we talked a lot about Aaron Rodgers from the Packers fan viewpoint previously. Well, Jay Walters has a special interview with a Jets fan, and he's going to be getting their angle on things. And it's definitely different than how we would look at it as Packers fans. So take it away, Jay.
Hi, guys. Jay Walters from Southern California. How's it going? Back on your last podcast, you had said it'd be really nice if we had a Jets guy that we could get an opinion from on all this. regarding Rodgers and everything. Well, one of my good friends is just that guy. His name is Dirk McIver, and he's here with me.
Well, Jay, thanks for asking me about this. It's good to do this interview with you. And I'm Dirk McIver. I've been a Jets fan for a long time now. I go back to the Richard Todd days. I remember the draft back when Ken O'Brien was drafted over Dan Marino. And I still look back at that draft now and just still wonder what the GM was thinking back then. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to talk about Aaron Rodgers and all that he is going to mean for the Jets in this upcoming season. So actually, thanks, Packers, for making the trade.
So what did you think when they first started talking about it, way back when it was just a speculation and the Denver Broncos were making noise and the Niners are making noise and the Jets are making noise? What did you think initially?
Well, hey, we've got a quarterback. I mean, that's one position that we've been kind of lacking lately. And, we have a great supporting team around him. We just need somebody to throw the ball.
And what did you think about all the media speculation with the false reporting and everybody saying, "Oh, the job's done"? No, it ain't done. Oh, and then Adam Schefter with all his false reports.
Well, everything happens. Communication needs to take place, and compromise needs to happen.
Yep. So when he went on the Pat McAfee show and he announced it, says, "My intention is to play for the Jets next year." What did you think at that point? Were you convinced he was coming? Did you still have any doubts?
Well, at that point, it was fantastic. I mean, the one position that we really needed help with was now going to be figured out, and that we would be able to go forward with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, last year, our quarterback play wasn't all that great, and yet we finished, 7-10? Yep. And now we're going to have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time come and play for the New York Jets.
Yep, and then weeks go by and nothing gets done. You get more false reports, other people trying to sneak in. And Did you doubt it at that point? Were you assured it was going to happen in your mind, or what were you thinking then?
Well, you know what? There were different benchmarks in which this trade needed to happen, and at the beginning, you knew that the draft was at one part of this. You knew that OTAs would be another one. And then you knew, sometime just before training camp and then the beginning of the season. And so you knew that it could have happened during or just before one of those four parts. You just didn't know when it was going to happen. And this is a dance, right? The Packers want their deal, the Jets want their deal, and they kind of go back and forth. And so you knew it was going to happen.
Well, that brings us to the day you texted me and said, "Hey, the deal's done. Here's the details." So at that point, excitement still? Trepidation?
We got Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the missing piece for the Super Bowl champion New York Jets was now in place. And so we were excited that Aaron Rodgers was finally a Jet. Now, did we give up too much? Well, you're always going to give more than what you want to give up. Yeah, we were kind of limited in what we were able to do. But, at the same time, it's a first-round pick.
Yeah.
But you know what? If Aaron Rodgers stays around for 2 years, we're not going to need that first-round pick anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
well, they signed Lazard. They drafted a center to help out on the line. And I guess the center can play multiple positions, but he's a really good center.
He is a good center.
Defensive end, so they already had a good defense, just bolsters that. Yep. But do you think they've done enough, given him enough tools that he's going to need?
I think when they signed Connor McGovern last week, I think that really helped that situation. It kind of solidified the line just a little bit more because he's able to play center or guard. And so, just in case an injury happens, they have more people to fill in on the line. And I think that's one thing that really hurt us last year. I mean, we lost 4 offensive tackles. Yeah. I mean, that's unheard of for any team.
Yeah.
And yet that's what happened. And as a result, we had bad line play. Yeah. But now all our guys are coming back from injuries. We got an offensive tackle in the draft. And then again, we signed Connor McGovern. So I think that's going to be really helpful.
All right. Well, then down to a 2-point question. How do you think the Jets are going to do this season, record-wise, playoffs-wise? How deep are they going to go? From a realistic point of view, we have a guy on this podcast, Wayne, that if you ask him about the Packers, we win every game when we win the Super Bowl. We don't want that response. We want.
Well, I mean, that's the dream of every fan, right?
Fan, yes.
Every fan wants to see their team win every game,
yes,
and especially win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Are the Jets going to win every game? No, certainly not. No. They went 7-10 with horrible quarterback play, so you could reasonably see them go 13-4, 12-5, and make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They also got teams like Kansas City and Buffalo and Cincinnati that are certainly top tier teams. Will they be able to beat them in the playoffs? I certainly think that they have the capability of doing so. Are they going to be able to win the Super Bowl? Certainly, especially because now they do have Aaron Rodgers. They have a quarterback who can actually throw the ball. I can certainly see them certainly getting into the AFC Championship game.
That's usually a necessary step. The team progresses, they get to the championship, they might lose it, come back the next year, and usually they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
if they can put two together like that.
Yep.
So the other question is, ultimately, I mean, next year, 3 years, is Rodgers going to get you guys a Super Bowl?
Well, he better. Really? I mean, we did trade away some draft picks to make that happen.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers was the piece that we were missing. Would it be an abject failure if we did not get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl? Not really.
If he plays 3 years and you make noise every year, I mean, it's good for the fans. It's good for the Jets organization.
Yeah.
So it might not be a failure, but it's certainly what everybody expects, I think.
Oh, yeah. Super Bowl is the expectation.
Yeah.
Winning the Super Bowl in at least the second year is the expectation.
Yeah.
And so, yes, Jets, Super Bowl.
Well, we certainly loved Aaron Rodgers. We had great times watching him play. We had a great Super Bowl with him, and we're sad to see him go. But at the same time, we're all ready for love, and a lot of people are real high on him. He's did great last year in the times that he played, and so we're the same expectations. We want to see some solid progress this year, and in maybe 2 years be in the Super Bowl, maybe a year from now. So. All right. Well, thanks a lot for doing this and coming down here and giving us your opinion.
Yeah. Hey, my pleasure. And great to talk to some Packer fans, especially on their end of this deal. Certainly go Pack go. But, in the end, there's only one team that I want to win the Super Bowl. And yes, it is my Jets, Jets. And thanks to Aaron Rodgers for coming on board and leading us to that great place where we would hope to be at least this year. The Super Bowl.
Yep. All right. Well, good luck to both teams. Thanks.
Awesome. Jay, thank you so much for getting together with Dirk and recording that and sending it in to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. And Scott, I love that Dirk remembers the draft when, was it Ken O'Brien was picked over Dan Marino for the Jets?
Whoops. Whoops.
Oh, well, those things happen.
By the way, I'm glad that somebody else knows what it's like to have a incredibly optimistic buddy when it comes to football. Because, Dirk definitely a hardcore Jets fan. It was a really cool interview. One thing I wish Jay had asked him about, like, hey, how you feel about, getting another Packer? You know what I mean? He had Favre. Are they expecting to lose him to the Vikings in a season here? Is Rodgers going to be on the cover of Madden? In a Jets uniform?
Oh my gosh, that would be insane. I saw somebody, a fairly popular Jets fan. I forget the name now, but it wasn't Gary Vaynerchuk, but another one that said, "Packers fans, just hear me out. What if Aaron Rodgers wins the next 2 Super Bowls with the Jets and retires? Does he go into the Hall of Fame as a Jet?" Don't hurt.
Here's
don't hurt
the
us
thing.
like that.
I don't have any hatred or anti-love or whatever towards the Jets, but I'm gonna be honest. Just because of the way that Rodgers treated the Packers organization the last year or two, or however long whenever this drama started, I really hope that history repeats itself like it did with Favre.
But we're not going to let him go to the Vikings. No.
No. I don't want that part repeated. Good Lord, could you imagine? Again, no ill will towards Jets or Jets fans at all, but I would really just like to see Rodgers falter, just to be able to be like, wasn't us, bro. Wasn't us. You know what I mean?
And that's coming from the guy who's not always the most rose-colored glasses kind of guy.
I'm only pessimistic compared to you, man. Let's be honest.
But hey, Dirk, Jay, I think it'll be fun to watch some of Aaron Rodgers with the Jets and all of that. And what if we meet each other in the Super Bowl? The hype would be unbearable. And I am just so relieved that Aaron Rodgers did not go to the Niners. So any place else, and I'm pretty happy. But lots of good stuff in there. And I also feel your pain, Dirk. You said the Jets had 4 offensive linemen go down last year, and that seems like the Packers the past 2 years or so. We had rotating guys here and there. And
yeah.
What do you think about his prediction that the Jets go something like 12-5?
I mean, that was what I predicted the Packers were going to do last year, and we all saw how that went. So I don't know. I love his optimism, but also being realistic at the same time. You know, it's so hard to predict because we've never seen Rodgers do anything except play with the Packers. You know what I mean? And you're looking at 15 plus years of gelling between different players and different coaching staff and all that. This is a brand new squad. Obviously, he's not a rookie, but you know, Jets fans are going to see what it's like to have your team ran by your quarterback instead of your head coach. So,
oh my! And he does have Alan Lazard, and you've seen on the news a couple of times. Aaron Rodgers is there at these early, what are they, voluntary off-season workouts or something? He showed up in New York to throw the ball around with some Jets. We haven't seen that in Green Bay for quite a while, so he's got a new chip on his shoulder, so we got to keep our eyes out. And Jay also added, after he sent the call in, that Luke Van Ness from Iowa, he thinks he's going to be a great addition. That seems almost universal. I like that. And Jay was very pleased with the draft overall. So
I will say one thing about the draft, because I was on a cruise ship while the draft was going on, so I didn't really
get pain, the suffering.
I know. But man, it takes that is a long drawn out process. It just takes I don't understand. Like just watching all of that. Like I just happened to be at a TV like during Green Bay's picks for 2 of the rounds, and you know, just watching all of that. You got to be really attuned to college football, which I'm not. But man, how much can you talk about about players and speculating in between rounds? And I don't know. It was so much. But hey, you're a football fan. That's what you love, right?
It was pretty wild indeed. And before we get to some more of the calls that came in, if the city of Green Bay and Titletown can eventually land the draft, I've got to go. It looks like so much fun. Day one might be extremely crowded and you might be a half mile away trying to watch it on a big screen. But after that, it looks just great. And Titletown is going to look so good on TV.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, whatever gets you out here, man.
I know. We got to stop by Culver's. You'll put on a Henderson jersey and get me a butter burger and some custard. It's going to be all good. Indeed. Let's go back to the listener line and see who either gave us a call at +1 920 3PACK-GO or sent an email message to feedback@Packers Fan Podcast with some pristine audio attached to the whole thing.
Go, 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 Pack, go! The 2023 draft is in the books. We had 13 picks to match our 13 world championships. Woo! Channeling my inner Ric Flair. Woo! Let's do it again. Anyways, I love this. It was a great draft. Starting off with Van Ness, that was a surprise. Didn't see that one coming. But he's a very tough and fast player. He was a hockey player, so that tells you about his toughness. He wasn't a starter in Iowa and was only there for 2 years, so I'm a little concerned with his lack of experience. But he was really tough. He's long, perfect edge rusher. Loved it. I do have to say, in the second round, the Detroit trade was stinking terrible. You do not help teams in your own division for a measly little 5th round pick. And with that pick, they drafted the best graded safety in the draft, which was, oh, by the way, a very huge need for us. I mean, we got Darnell Savage and who else? But I will also say, love the pick of Jaden Reed. His speed. He's speed. Wow. He kind of has that speed of Christian Watson. He was a little undersized. He's only 5'11", 187 pounds, but he's a very good route runner. He high points the ball, and he has super glue hands. I could see him fitting in at slot wide receiver, just like Cobb, or being a special teams player to complement Keyshawn Nixon. He's just, his lateral speed is crazy fast. He ran a 4.29 in the 20-yard shuttle sprint, which it was 10th overall in the combine. And kind of going back to the first pick, this is awesome too, to tell you about how much of an athlete that Van Ness is. Van Ness's 20-yard shuttle sprint was 4.32 seconds, a 0.03 hundredth of a second difference between a man that is 5'11", 187, and Van Ness, who's 6'5" at 272. So you're talking about 100-pound difference and 6 inches in height. That tells you how fast Van Ness is. I think he'll be able to beat a lot of offensive tackles around the edge to get to the quarterback. Sorry about that little offshoot. The offense will look a lot different to fit Love's strengths. And speaking of Love, I loved the pick of Sean Clifford in the 5th round. A lot of people are boo-hooing that one, but he beat out Will Levis for 2 years consecutively at Penn State. That's why Will Levis went to Kentucky. And if you remember, and if you watch the draft, you'll see that Will Levis, Will Levis was projected to be a top 5 pick overall in the draft, not just top 5 quarterbacks, but a top 5 pick. They were, a lot of people were expecting him to be drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. But yeah, Sean Clifford, he has a huge, high football IQ. He'll be able to be a great backup and give insight, much like I think Matt Flynn did to, Rodgers and Hasselbeck did to Brett Favre. That's all I have for now. Can't wait for the schedule release. And above all else, go, 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 Pack, go!
Wow, I think we hit a record there. I was like checking my watch for a stopwatch, see how long that one laid.
So good.
That one stuck out.
So good, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. I think my favorite thing that he mentioned was something I did not read. I mean, we talked about the speed of Jaden Reed, but he said super glue hands. I like to hear that. I really like to hear that. So, yeah. 10th overall in speed in the combine, too. I missed that stat as well. Overall, number 10. Of the entire,
that's fast.
That's very quick. Love to see that. Can't wait to see that separation. We got lots of possibility. Everyone's saying we should have got like a higher end wide receiver, but this is a rebuilding team officially. And not just because of Rodgers. I mean, we're kind of starting from scratch here, but it's not directly from scratch. We've got some seasoned players in there. There's just a lot of young blood on the team. It's time to get them gelled. I just hope that gelling happens sooner than later.
Amen to that. And even Van Ness, Dan was saying how he was surprised with the pick and how Van Ness looks so tough and that he's pretty fast too. So having that speed on defense is not a bad thing at all. So
especially at that size.
Yeah.
Like he's
go fast,
so
hit people
huge.
hard, and let's get some 3 and outs. I miss having our defense cause 3 and outs as much as they used to. But anyways, this is a new season and it's going to happen. All right, let's check in with 920-3-Pack Go.
Go, Pack, go! The season, I feel like, is kind of officially starting now that the draft is over. Well, it started with the draft. It was an interesting off season, as everyone is aware. Kind of was like expecting the Jets thing to happen anyways, and then even when it wasn't, when it was like maybe not going to happen, I was like, okay, well that's just going to be super awkward if it doesn't work and he comes back, and like, so I think it's for the best. I love Aaron. I always will, like, have a special spot in my heart for him, even though a lot of people are over it. I really appreciate him. I think he had an amazing run with us, and I wish he could have retired with us, maybe last year on a really high note. But so everyone is asking me, are you going to be a Jets fan now? No, I'm not. I'm a Packer fan. I paid attention to the draft the first 2 days, and then I was like minimally engaged. I've been working all weekend, so I have kind of an excuse. But so I saw the first guy, the edge rusher, and he seems great. It seems like it was not a bad option, although I was not surprised by all the, why didn't we draft a receiver? That just seemed like deja vu, because I feel like we hear that every single year, and we don't draft a receiver first round every single year. So, like, I don't know why they're expecting it to happen now. And then they did, and then they got a tight end, and I think they did a good job in the draft from what I saw. I'm excited to listen to this podcast. I really want to hear what Dan has to say. I'm really hoping they get a lot more attention than I did and can enlighten you guys. Getting pretty excited for Jordan Love. I was super excited to see that Jonesy and Christian Watson, and I think I heard that Romeo Dobbs was out there for some part of it, all practicing with him, which I thought was amazing. Cannot wait for the season. I need to go to at least one game. I'm going in June for the charity softball game. I'm going to scream at AJ Dillon the entire time. I can't wait. And I am super hopeful that Matt continues his good coaching streak without Aaron. I think he will. I was really excited when I saw AJ Dillon welcome the new running back, like, welcome to the room. I think it's okay that we're, like, on to the next phase of the team. It's sad to see, like, some really special players go, but the nature of the game, and, yeah, so I'm excited for this year. I can't wait. I don't think it's going to be, like, this horrible year that everyone is anticipating. They might not go 13-3, but I'm still pumped for football to be back, and I will bleed green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Forever a Packer backer, not a Jets fan. Go Pack, go forever and ever and ever. Let's go. We're out of season, baby. We're going to the Super Bowl.
That's what I like to hear, Megan. Thank you so much for your call at +1 920-3-Pack Go. I heard the word Super Bowl there at the end. And Megan, I love how it picks up speed and tempo and intensity at the end. So very, very good. Thank you for your calls. So fantastic. And Megan will always love and appreciate Aaron Rodgers for his time with Green Bay. And friends asking, are you now going to be a Jets fan because of Aaron Rodgers? I'm glad that Megan cleared that up, that the answer is no. I'm a Packers fan.
Yeah. And Megan, we got to make a game happen this season. I know we'll be going to at least one. I can't not go to a game this season. Hopefully the stars can align and we can meet up for a game, as well as everybody else that listens to this show. Hopefully we can coordinate. I would love to do a PFP meetup. Maybe you guys can convince Wayne that it's worth a flight out here too, because that would be amazing. We could just we're getting the schedule soon, right, Wayne? We got to just figure one out, make it happen, commit already.
I'd like to be able to make it to a game this year. I just don't think I can make it to Lambeau Field this particular year.
I would like you said last season too.
I know that, and things happened. But we are going to look to see when the Packers at Raiders game is going to happen, because all the kids, everybody wants to go, and depending on the night of the week or day or whatever, depending on traffic, it's either a 3.5 hour drive or a 6 hour drive.
Yeah,
have to wait to see. I don't know why that road to Vegas is, in some spots, it's still only 2 lanes. I'm like, really? The whole world's going out there. But anyways, back to Megan. She is going to the charity softball game this year, so that'll be a lot of fun. I hope that they show that on YouTube or somewhere online so I can watch that, because that was fun to watch last year. That really, really was.
Yeah. I love it.
And speaking of the schedule, again, that's May 11th. So we will have another episode a few days after the schedule comes out. And we want your feedback again at feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com, or give us a call at +1 920 3PACK-GO. And for those of you who are using one of those modern, shiny podcasting 2.0 players like Castamatic, Podverse, or even the Fountain app, for example, if you listen to the Packers Fan Podcast on those apps, now would be a fabulous time to send in a boost. Send us a few little Satoshis just for fun. Plus, there's a lot of other cool features besides just the ability to send small portions of Bitcoin to your favorite podcasters. Go to newpodcastapps.com for all the details, and that'll get you going. And we did have a poll. We're going to be back to weekly with the polls, believe it or not, sometime in late August. But for now, we do have a poll in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com, as well as on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Instead of asking the basic, how would you grade the Packers draft? I mean, that's fun too. What I want to know this time is, which player that our Packers selected in this year's draft do you expect to make the most immediate impact on the field? Lucas Van Ness, Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, or maybe even Colby Wooden, the defensive end?
Anders Carlson, the kicker. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, that's possible. I mean, if Mason is let go and he's the kicker, he'll be making an immediate impact of one sort of or another.
No, I'm with you. Kickers are always a joke when it comes to in fantasy football drafting, because people are like, oh, he's going to draft a kicker in the first round and blah, blah, blah. Like, kickers are important, guys. I don't know if you know this, but they are important. I'm going to go with Luke Musgrave, the tight end. I think mostly because of the lack of NFL experience we've got with the rest of the roster. I think that he's going to have an impact. Just because he's gonna already be required to come out the gate swinging. You know what I mean? He's gonna have to prove himself and really step up and get over that slump. That, not slump is not the right word, but the ramp up that it normally takes for tight ends to really be significant. You know, we don't have time to wait the 2 to 3 years for you to get good, man. You got to come out the gate and be good right away. So that's my selection. How about you?
That's a solid choice, Scott. I'm going to go with the popular choice in this particular instance. I'm normally a contrarian, but this time I'm going to go with Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher. I think he is going to really fill in the gap and to be able to be on the field, maybe not week 1, but very, very soon into the season. And our choice of selecting him for the Green Bay Packers is going to be instantly validated, is what I feel. So the votes that came in after combining all of the ones on Facebook and Twitter, 61% went with the obvious choice, but maybe it's obvious for a reason, Lucas Van Ness. 20% went with the tight end Luke Musgrave, so you could be very in great company there, Scott. 17% chose Jaden Reed, the wide receiver, speedy, and 2% went with Colby Wooden, the defensive end.
Interesting. We had some comments on the poll as well. First off, over on Twitter, @Shaker5585 said, I'm excited to see Van Ness and a healthy Gary getting after quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
I love that we've got like these teams within a team with the Packers. You know what I mean? We had the Smith brothers. We've got Dylan and Jones. You know, I just love that there's like these pockets of camaraderie on both sides of the ball, and that could be the key for the Packers this season. I really like that. Also, in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group, Garrett Stritzel says, obviously Van Ness will help rotate in Gary's spots until he is back. His ability to line up anywhere in the D-line makes him very versatile, and I hope he makes an instant impact. Also, David Newman says, I wasn't thrilled about a second tight end, but also realized that before today had 4 tight ends on the roster, with DeGuara as the only guy who was almost guaranteed to make the roster. Davis is a special teams guy, and the other 2 I know nothing about. They need depth and just got 2 guys who could be there for the next few years. Solid point.
He's not wrong. And Jason in the Facebook group wants to know, who do you think will win the Super Bowl first, the Packers or the Jets?
Oh, man. Can I tell you about halfway through the season? I have no idea. I'm such a it's such a question mark right now. Number one, it's so early in the season. I understand he's talking, first, not that it would happen for either team this season. Hopefully it does. He's just talking like all, over the next however many years, who's going to win the Super Bowl first. I kind of I feel like I have to get a feel for the Packers again before I can actually give a solid answer.
Oh, come on.
We are in such a rebuilding phase right now, man. There's just no way. I will say I don't think that a Super Bowl win will come to the Jets by way of Aaron Rodgers. Sorry.
Ooh,
I don't think that'll happen.
Well,
No.
Go ahead and let your voice be heard. Join the conversations at PackersCommunity.com and let Jason and all of us know. Of course, there is that leak that next year's Super Bowl will be Packers versus Jets. So for me, I guess it all comes down to who wins that game. I can't wait. Go Pack, go.
Could you imagine the media?
Oh, it will be, it might actually reach unbearable levels.
If that happens this year, Wayne, I might start falling into the camp of the conspiracy theorists who talk about the NFL being scripted. If that happens, my goodness, could you imagine the viewership? Like, the Super Bowl is already viewed by people that don't even watch football.
Right.
But I feel like everyone on the planet would be watching that game. So, man, crazy.
It's going to be wild. We also got an email. Hey, Wayne and Scott, this is Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher from Titletown, USA, better known as Green Bay, Wisconsin. What a shocking draft we had. I personally think every pick we had were pieces to our missing puzzle and maybe what we're looking for, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Can't wait for Packers season. Until next time, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Go Pack, go, and happy birthday to Roy Fisher. Thank you for the email, Caleb, Kathy, and Roy, otherwise known as CCR.
Happy birthday, Roy. Thanks so much for listening to the show. As always, everybody, your calls, emails, comments, and support are so much a part of the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you for contributing. We really do appreciate it. Remember to join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be part of the conversations over at PackersCommunity.com, even during the off season. Simply join, answer 3 very easy questions so we'll know that you're not some ChatGPT AI bot trying to reach us about our automobile's extended warranty. That's all we ask. 3 questions.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay. And like we mentioned before, the schedules are going to be out May 11th. Who will the Packers play week 1? Will it be at home? How many primetime games will be featured this season? We can't wait to find out, as well as hearing what you think of the Packers schedule when it does come out. So, of course, Scott and I are going to be pouring over all the goodness in the game schedule with you just a few days after it comes out. So, again, keep our voicemail handy. Call us with your insights at 920-3-PACK-GO.
I would also like to take an opportunity to share with you guys my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, just recorded its latest episode. I was on vacation this week, but my team talked about the latest video game in the Star Wars universe called Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and they also shared their favorite Star Wars locations to visit in video games. It was an awesome episode. I listened to it already. Highly recommend it. We also have a brand new bumper that I was very excited. It is done by a guy by the name of Tim Kitzrow. If that name does not sound familiar, I guarantee you his voice will. If you've been following sports for the past 20 years, he was the voice of the announcer in NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, NHL Blitz. He's the, boom shakalaka. He's on fire. That guy did a bumper for us, and I hope you all will check it out. Our website is thegamingoutsider.com.
And you played that bumper for me earlier today, and I don't know where Tim gets his energy. That is high power. That is good stuff. That's a great get. That's going to sound awesome on your podcast. Congratulations. Yep. Also want to send out a brief shout out to one of our longtime supporters and listeners, Angel Martinez from the Broad Street South Pod on Twitter is where you can find him. Angel has a new sports radio station in Florida, 102.9 FM, The Game, at broadstreetsouth.com. Angel hopes to include new episodes of the Packers Fan Podcast as they come out on his station. I hope that can come together, because how cool would that be?
That would be amazing. That's awesome. Really cool.
Crank up that FM dial. 102.9 FM, The Game. Direct link will be in the episode description. So look for that there. That's good stuff. Congrats, Angel.
We have the value for value model over here at the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you so much for giving back to your Packers Fan Podcast via your Patreon support. We really appreciate it. Details for becoming a Patreon and other ways to give back to the show are at packersfanpodcast.com/give back. I got some thanks for our supporters as well. First off, Dan Dyler supporting at the Jim Ringo level. Definitely get some Go Pack Goes and thank yous. Also, Jay Walters, thanks as always, and Go Pack Goes for your class Aaron Rodgers level patronage, as well as your interview with the Jets fans so we could have their perspectives on the Aaron Rodgers trade.
So good. And we've now launched the similar but different Jordan Love $10 patron level. Can I get a Go Pack Go for Jordan Love?
Go Pack Go indeed.
Also, Go Pack Goes and thank yous to our loyal Brett Favre level supporters. Colin Nolan from Ireland, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, Scott Bors, and Andre in LA. Also, Curly Lambo level Go Pack Goes and thank yous to Hank Davis from the TPE Network, Matt Haig, and Joe Christensen. Now, if you'd like to give back to the show, maybe even becoming a patron of the PFP, check out the details at packersfanpodcast.com/give back.
As a reminder, we are the unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. But please follow the Packers Fan Podcast where you listen to your podcast. And remember, tell your friends about the PFP, because we would love to get our words in more people's ears. Thank you so much for the support.
Follow us on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. Follow Scott on Twitter. Heck, he's over there. Go Cast Scott. Go Cast Scott. Follow me on Twitter at Wayne Henderson. And to close out this episode in fine style, here's Patreon supporter Dan Dyler with an assist from Brett Connor in the UK.
All right, this is Dan, a.k.a. Peck Sparrow, and Brett.
Coming in from Tottenham, all the way from London, England. And this is a Go Pack Go.
Go, 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 go.
Go Pack Go!